So here is the next piece that I'm going to work on. So this is the way the cherry would be made, or the good one. So we have a piece that's 1 1/4 inches thick, which is 7/8, and then the 3/8. So this part up here is higher. It really only needs to be higher here, but because of the way you have to come around with the carving, I cut it off here. I suppose I could have cut it there, but we're going to give this a shot. So this is all one piece. Then I sawed off with the bandsaw the excess material that was here and flattened it. So we have a 7/8 of an inch piece, which makes up this. Of course, I'm going in the opposite direction this time, but if you could turn it over, that's the way this piece would be of the molding. So I was laying it out again. So we have 1 1/4 inches, which is the top piece here. This then becomes a step and the cove and the bead on the bottom piece. So this needs to be removed. So I would I'm going to saw along this line here and remove all this material so that I can get at it with the routers and carving and so forth. So I also decided on a different pattern. This is the pattern for the carving that is at Winter Tour, and really, since there are small differences between the 4 that I've been able to see. The one at Winter Tour has this particular carving on it, and I decided, since I'm really copying the one at Winter Tour, that I'll do that. So what it really is supposed to be is it comes around here with the cove and stops here. Then this is the raised part. So what you've got here is little leaves, I think they are. So there's a little leaf here, and then another little leaf that curls around here, and then a large leaf that curls around here. And these are all rounded, so it's like a cone shaped on the side. So I think we'll be able to carve that. So now I'm going to cut this out on the bandsaw, smooth it, and then start to route the steps like I did here the first time. So you got a 1/4 inch step there, and then 3/16 step here, and then the OG is last, and we'll have to carve wherever I can't get at with the routing bits. I'm still working on the practice piece here, and I learned that with the 3/8 inch extension on here that I need to carve, I can't turn it over and route it upside down. I was never too excited about doing that anyway, unless you put a piece on here. I suppose I could do it that way, but I've got this set up here for an overhead router. On my radial arm saw, I had built this overhead device for holding a router, and I've used it before. There is a video out there on my channel that talks about using the overhead router. So that's what I used here to create the steps along here. So I have 2 rabbeting steps, so I just changed the bearing out. This is for the lower step right now, and then it just has a smaller bearing for the upper set, and I just put this piece of melamine there to make it nice and slippery and flat, so that I could route it along here. So I think that'll work, rather than routing it upside down and putting a 3/8 inch block on here. I could, that's how I did it the first time with this one, but I didn't have this block on here then, and I routed it upside down. So I think this will work, so we'll give that a try. So again, I clamped the piece out, although the last time I had already cut off the back, so I have a little more room here to clamp it down, so that made that a little easier. And I used the OG bit here on the router to route out the bulk of the material. And I thought I was being smart and cut this out of the router base there so that I could get in closer, but the motor gets in the way. So I got this on the eBay for $14, not the motor, but just the handles for $14. So I thought, well, I'd give it a try, but the motor gets in the way, so I really didn't get that much closer to the end. I was trying to save myself a little carving. So now we've routed all that we can on here. We've got the 2 steps and we've got the OG started, so there's nothing left to do but carve. I'm just beginning to carve here, but one of the things that I had to do was establish the ramp, which starts down here and then gradually goes up to nothing, which would be here where it's carved over. This is all rounded. So you've got to, of course, put the OG, or it becomes a cove right here. There's no OG at that point anymore, and it just becomes a cove as it works its way up here. But you can see I used a saw to, or I marked it out with a line first, but then I used a saw to saw the ramp all the way up on this side here. So I have to carve so that it gradually goes up, and then put the cove in here. This is all negative space, and then this is positive space here, so the ramp will butt up against this curve on the inside. So I've still got to take out this material in here, but at least now I know where I'm going. I'm working on my ramp here, so you can see how the volute goes from, this is would be 3/8 of an inch here, and it works its way up to nothing around that side. So I had, as you saw in the earlier video, that I had put a line on here and then sawed a kerf all the way around to give me a guide. And so now I'm chopping out the waste. Using the kerf as a guide. And we make a stop cut along there, and then this is a bit challenging because the grain continuously changes, of course, as you go around the circle. So you have to be careful. But the cherry should work very similar to this soft maple that I'm using. About halfway. And the cove comes through here all but 3/16 of an inch all along there. So I'll show you a little bit more later on. So I've got my ramp on here, and I've been working on the OG and the flat. So it's just about done. It has to be rounded over a little smoother there. So now I'm working on the cove, that comes along here, and then these are all voids in here. It goes down, and then the whole thing is curved over. So I've got to make this, it's fairly deep, and so I've started to set it in. This is a 3 by putting stop cuts along there, and then using a 3/8 6 here, working around the circle. Try not to chip it out. Here we're going straight across the grain. Well, I've pretty much finished carving the pattern here. So you can see it goes around, and the 3 leaves are created. I made the depth about what I could see. Now this whole circle here needs to be rounded over from about here into here, as well as these pieces in here. So we'll see how well we can do that. So I'm rounding over the circle now, and it's typical of round things. The grain keeps changing, so I'll try not to get in front of the camera. I got a 1/2 inch 5 here that I'm going to start with. So this is straight cross grain there. So this is carving in grain, and then this way it would go this way. Nope, that way. And if you watch when you're carving, if it's lifting the fibers instead of slicing them, then you know you're going the wrong way. So this starts to round here, but it doesn't go much further. Probably down to about here. Well, I'm finished carving for now. Got a fair volute on here, curved volute or donut. So I'm going to work on the other end now and finish this out, and then work on the bottom molding. Well, I've carved this side of the OG out to the end, and of course finished the steps off. And I cleaned it up a little bit. Now I'm going to saw the waste off here on the back, and then we'll start on the next piece. I did get a chip out here, but I saved it. I could glue it back in if this was for real, but anyway, still practicing. I'm laying out the bottom one now, so this is the other half. So I've used this as well. I used the whole template first, which is the entire piece, and then I used the top half to make sure that the line matches and that the circle matches what we ended up with. So happy with that. So now we got to chop and bandsaw that out, and then we'll be ready to make the cove and bead. Well, I've started to work on the lower molding now. So what I did was, of course, cut it out and marked out where I wanted things so that the two would match. And so there's a 1/4 inch flat here, followed by a cove, and then the bead. So with a router bit, I was able to hog out the majority of the cove there, but it has to be carved now till it's flat down here and to that line over there. So we're gonna start some carving. I'm chopping out the cove. This is a 1 inch number 5 So I'll continue this cove until it's flush with the 3/8 of an inch that's down here, and then I'll put the bead on. Well, I'm cleaning up the parts of the bead that I couldn't the router, and I used a number 6, a 1/4 inch number 6 here, and the grain goes this way on this side of the and then it goes this way on the other side, so it's a little difficult to clean up, but and I used a 1/16 number 3. No, it's still not small enough. Here we are. So here's a 1/16 number 3 that I used to make that groove, to match that groove. And then I used, this is for a scratch beater. So I happen to have this, it fits that piece of molding, and then I use it to clean it up. And you can go whichever way the grain is going at the moment. And then I cleaned up this part here, and then the cove was completed earlier, although I did touch it up a little bit with this 1 inch number 5 there. Well, I've screwed the two pieces together. The one that you just saw me finish here, which is the cove and bead, and the one I did yesterday with the volute on it. And they're put together, they're mitered here on the corner, and they've come out pretty well. I've got a piece of the sample of the lattice that will go in there. It's 3/8 of an inch thick. I just wanted to see how it would be. This is just temporarily tacked up there. So the only thing left to do is to carve some grooves into the underside of the volutes here that come up to about the top of that, and then I got a little sanding to bring the two pieces together yet, but I think there's enough practice here so I can get started on the cherry. So the first thing we have to do is size up some stock. So I took it down off of the top after testing to see how it looked, and this is the last of the carving that has to be done. So what we've got is two coves here, the grooves, I guess, I'm not sure what you would call them, but they go from about here on the cove to just about the top on this side. So these two go in, and then these two go towards the center, so they're rounded down in. So I guess it's kind of like an OG. So I've marked them out here, and I'm going to be carving for a little bit. So yesterday I left off with carving the curves around the bottom here, and it wasn't very successful. So this is pretty ugly. Actually, it's the actual reverse of what I was supposed to do. So I started over again on the other practice piece that I had, and I'm having a bit of a better outcome on this one, as you can see. So we have a round here and then a hollow next to it, and that's got to go all the way around. So I'll be carving here for a little while, but hopefully the outcome is better than last time. Well, this is much better than the last time I attempted this. So it looks much like what there is in the photograph here, and I didn't clean it all the way up, but I think this will work out pretty well. It starts back here about at the top, and it ends a little further in about halfway across the cove underneath here. And I maintained a 3/16 of an edge here, even though the volute gets bigger. So this one gets a little larger as it goes on the inside. The other one is straight all the way back. So I think we're done practicing. So I'm going to go prep the cherry and get started on the the pair that we've got to make for the high boy.